changes or additions to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Leslie with a second from Dave to approve the agenda. Any questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an agenda. Next up is action on minutes from our last meeting, which are in board docs.
I would move to approve the minutes for the regular meeting held on March 14th, 2022 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Dave with a second from Leslie to approve the minutes of the March 14th meeting as presented. Any questions or comments on those? All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next up is the action on vouchers.
Mr. President, I will move to approve general checking account vouchers totaling $1,160,041.98 and building fund 49 vouchers totaling $11,563 as presented.
Could I just ask one question before we approve that?
We have a second, please, first.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
All right. Rich, just a quick question. As I looked through the vouchers, there was a DPI grant and expense for educator effectiveness through the DPI for $22,000 and some change. I'm just curious. It's great that it's grant funded. I'm just curious if you can give any background on what that will do and how that'll help serve us.
Yeah, I'll share some info on that, and if there's any details that I'm missing, I'll ask Ryan Roberts to come up and kind of fill in some of the details. But just at a high level, the educator effectiveness system is a statewide system for staff evaluation, and the state DEI provides up to $80 per staff member to pay for the costs associated with the system equipment and training, software, and support. We purchase software called Frontline that we use to manage that system. And then that's the cost of that software, and then the state reimburses at that $80 per educator is where that $22,000 or so comes from. So we pay that, but we're reimbursed by the state. So there isn't a direct cost to the district for running that program, and that's typical in districts across the state. But not everyone uses Frontline to manage that system, but there's a lot of different ways that it can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we had a motion from Joe with a second by Leslie. Any other questions or comments at all on the vouchers? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Vouchers are passed. Next up is student council reports.
Okay, good evening. For tonight's student council report, I just wanted to recap the two events we did this past week in student council. We did the career day where we took the presenters to their classrooms, and then we also co-hosted the Neon Dance with National Honor Society, and all the proceeds went towards Ukrainian families. Lastly, prom planning is still in the works. We have a location and a theme. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is public comment. There were no ones signed up. Rich, can you just double check that, please? Okay. All right, next up is a superintendent update.
I'm going to update the board on some Red Hawk highlights. Some of these were listed in the most recent edition of the Red Hawk review that went out this past Friday, but I also want to mention them publicly at the board meeting, and then there are a number of other things. It's a pretty lengthy list because we haven't had a board meeting for a month, and there's been a lot going on over the last month. So I want to start by some different staff celebration days during the month of April. The entire month of April is school library month, so there's a lot of different activities off and on throughout the month at all of our school libraries, with April 4th being National School Librarian Day. April 4th through 8th, this past week was Assistant Principal Appreciation Week. We have our 2 assistant principals at Milton High School, associate principal at Milton Middle School, and associate principal at Northside. So Tara Huber, Matt Kleinschmidt, Cassie Gemolo, and Ben Yaucher are assistant and associate principals. April 6th was National Paraprofessional Appreciation Day, and there are some different days throughout the year where paraprofessionals or teacher aides are celebrated. And coming up at the end of April, the 27th, is Administrative Professionals Day. A big event at Milton High School last week was the Milton High School Career Fair. I saw a couple board members taking part in that back on April 6th on Wednesday. So it's a career day and adulting skills fair at Milton High School, an opportunity for students to make connections with community members, learn skills that will carry them beyond high school. And they rotated through 4 different stations. They discussed career options with local professionals, attended a career fair in the new gymnasium, heard from military and college recruiters on post-graduation options, and also attended a new option, which was the adulting fair. And there they prepared students for lifelong skills, including things like all kinds of teachable adulting skills. I saw John Cruzan teaching folks how to tie a tie. I saw people learning how to make pancakes, learning about personal finance and checkbooks and some things like that, doing laundry, some basic cooking, understanding pay stubs, those types of things. So we had a great turnout. I think there were around 150 different community members who participated. So it was great to see that community involvement. And the program is possible thanks to the efforts of the staff at Milton High School, and special recognition to the guidance department, to Amy Kenyon and to Ashley Williams for their work in coordinating that opportunity for students and collaborating with our community partners. We also last week had some high school students, French students, earn top ratings at the regional competition. So congratulations to Maya Johns, Charlotte Hawley, Jonathan Flowers, and Bethany Vidrick for earning A and A+ ratings at the regional concourse oral. And it's a French-speaking competition similar to forensics, where our students compete with other French students in areas of poetry, prose, theater, and music, and are evaluated on their French pronunciation, intonation, and interpretation of the text. And all 4 students will advance to the state competition next week. So congratulations to our students who advanced. The tennis courts at Central Park are under construction now. That work is going on, even though we've had some wet and cool weather. The construction remains on time, and we're anticipating completion before the start of summer school in early June. This past weekend, the middle school drama department presented Charlotte's Web. Congratulations to Director Steve Steinke and the talented performers, both on the stage and with the set crew and tech crew. The show was a hit, and all of the students did a wonderful job. Coming up later in April, the high school drama will be premiering the performances of There's No Place. That will be on April 22nd through the 24th. This acclaimed play was originally premiered at JPAC and was written by Milton native Jim Like. Going on right now at Milton Public Library, our consolidated arts show for our K-3 students. This year's theme is Art Around the World. So if you have a chance to stop over to the Milton Public Library, you can see artwork from talented Red Hawks in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade. That will be on display through April 25th. Thanks to Mr. Calvert and to our friends at Milton Public Library for hosting. And Harmony Elementary is having a separate art show later in May. Tomorrow evening, Milton East is hosting a math and literacy night. From 5:15 to 6:15, students and families are invited to join in. on math and literacy-related board games, raffles, and other fun activities. It's a great opportunity for community building between our staff and our neighborhood families. Northside has a lunch buddy program that connects students to adult mentors, and that's continuing to grow. The program connects students to adult community members to form mentorship bonds. Mentors include former teachers, volunteers, parents, and other community members. Milton High School senior Sarah Kronberg was selected as a 2022 Herb Cole Student Excellence Scholarship recipient. According to the Cole Foundation, recipients have demonstrated excellence in the academic arena and high motivation to achieve, have achieved a broad range of activity and leadership outside the academic setting, and have shown strong promise for succeeding in college and beyond. So congratulations to Sarah. National Honor Society at Milton High School have resumed their visits to elementary schools to read with younger grade levels, as has a Milton FFA. The National Honor Society is doing that at Milton East, FFA at Harmony, and those high school students go in and read to our younger grade levels, which is really a valuable opportunity both for our high school students and for our elementary students. They're able to form bonds with each other, build community, and our high school students are able to inspire our younger Redhawks. Also highlighted in the most recent edition of the Redhawk Review is that we have a couple students who were advanced to the USA Archery Regional Elite Development Program. Kaylee DeReamer and Parker Loofborough were added to the roster of that prestigious program. Both were recognized for this honor following outstanding showings within the Junior Olympic archery program. During our recent spring break, our high school softball team traveled to Florida for some games. The teams worked hard on team building and perfecting their game. The varsity team won both of their games in Florida, and the JV won all three of their games. They worked hard and the effort showed, and we wish them the best of luck on their upcoming season. We've had a number of competitors in the Milton Monsters wrestling program that had impressive showings at the Kids Folk Style State Championships. Gage Gross and Gwen Gross both won youth state titles. Milton had 3 state runner-ups, Hadley Vold, Brody Lewis, and Caleb Wallish. And others finishing in the top 5 in their group were Izzy Henze, finished 3rd, Easton Wingerson finished 4th, and Colton Mueller finished 6th. 2 more items. We've had 2 either current or former members of our coaching staffs named to the Football Coach Hall of Fame. In a ceremony last week, Milton High School football coach Rodney Wettig and former Milton High School football coach Jerry Schleim were inducted into the National High School Athletic Coaches Association Hall of Fame. So it's a rare honor to make that National Hall of Fame and to have both our current and a former coach named is very impressive. Both of these men have made an enduring impact on Milton athletics. We're very excited to know their contributions will be forever recognized by our community and beyond through this induction. And finally, we continue to add dates and times for community coffee breaks with the superintendent. The next one coming up will be on Thursday evening at Charla's Coffee Shop, Thursday, April 14th. So continue to work with local businesses to look for additional times and locations. The next one after that will be on Monday, April 18th at 10 a.m. at the Gathering Place. Those are the highlights of things that are going on with our students, our staff, different programs. A lot of great things happening with Milton Redhawks.
Thank you, Rich. A lot going on this time of year. Anyone have any questions or comments for Rich? Rich, have your coffees been well attended?
The first one was well attended at Charla's. The second one, we scheduled the one at Starbucks down by Harmony, and we didn't have very good attendance at that one, but we'll look for other opportunities to connect with parents and community members in that area.
Okay. Great. Thank you. All right, next up we have a presentation, the Red Hawk Memorial Garden from Stephen Shantz and Susan Prost.
Thanks for letting us present to you. I'm going to give you a little bit of background information before Stephen shows you a picture so you can envision what we're talking about. About a year ago, a group of student services members decided that they wanted to get together and review our process for dealing with a student suicide. We have a procedure in place in our crisis communication management plan, and that team of people, Verlene Orr, Sherry Rottenberg, Dan Thies, Renee Murphy, Katie Grady, and Joel Mazzulia worked hard to figure out what that process would look like. And through their work, they discovered potential other areas of inconsistencies. And so they brought to a team of administrators, Stephen, Jeremy Billhorn, Sarah Stuckey, and Tara Sarinsky, some ideas that they wanted us to explore. And so our team looked at board policy and administrative guidelines, and then tried to figure out what kind of procedures or practices should we put into place, because when someone passes away, that's not the time to try to be very procedural, right? You want procedures written in place so when things happen, you can just follow those procedures. So the scope was pretty broad, and the teams still have work to do. We hope to have the procedural part completely in place by the end of June. But one place that we landed to be able to acknowledge Milton's past practices, as well as find a way to create a pathway forward that's manageable and equitable, was we landed on something called the Red Hawk Memorial Garden. And Stephen's going to share a little more information about that, and then if you have questions for either us, we would be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Yeah, we were able to share in the board packet kind of a rendering for us to be able to talk through where we landed. But as we explored different options for what we could do or what we could offer a family going through that process, is a memorial garden, which is shown there, and it has approximately 60 or so available slots upon its initial installation for a family member, from a deceased student, teacher, anybody along those lines that would fit the criteria that we're working on, to be able to have that brick put into that garden. And the location that's shown right there is our new event entrance at the high school, and that is an area directly to the east of that. And the final design and all that good stuff is still being ironed out. But we just wanted to be able to share this rendering with the board so that they get an idea of what we're working on and what this final solution could potentially be. We actually had money gifted to the district a long time ago called the Maud Dickinson Trust, and that money is to go towards beautification of school district property. And I think we have around like $28,000 or so in that fund. I got the nod, yes. That would be going to, well, we're not going to spend it all, but we're just saying that's a gift that the district received, and we felt that this would be a perfect way for use of those funds to create something that would be added to in the future and be offered to those families going through that. So I cover everything.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments? Thank you very much. Look forward to that.
Thank you.
We first talked about K-3, and they reviewed wonders, in my view. The largest focus for that, those programs are on foundation skills with reading. They need to be phonics-based. Both had all 5 components of that reading. Resources that can be easily used by teachers. Every teacher is a reading specialist or reading teacher, so they want to be able to have resources accessible and available for the teachers that needs to be used. Obviously, no resource is perfect, but they want to strengthen the foundational skills. We had first who piloted from West talk about wonders, and this was kind of across the board with all the curriculums that were piloted. All of them said, no matter which one it was, it was overwhelming at first, along with everything else that was happening in the classrooms, and they were very highly packed with materials. But once they got going and things started transitioning, all they were seeing differences. There were a lot of components for just the one lesson in wonders, lots of work before. There was a routine, and then they noticed the students started to grow in their reading and beginning to love the reading. They had new vocabulary, then they'd see it in text so they could relate and transition backward. They had sight words daily that were also in the text, so it all correlated. They taught a phonics skill, reading text with that phonics skill, so everything was kind of wrapped into one, and they kept seeing the repetitiveness, seeing the words they were using and talking about it. It made a lot of sense to them. They had comprehension strategies, predictions, recall, talking about the reading. It was genre focused. There was a writing piece to that. And each unit revolved around a theme or essential question. Most lessons were done as full groups, but they could also meet in smaller groups. Different texts were online, different reading levels. We asked about, did the kids still have independent reading? Yes, they were fitting that in to the schedule so they could still be able to select their own books and still have that independent component also. They also piloted My View. That also had all the components. They started with 14 to pilot wonders across the district, and after that process, going through everything, they had 7 volunteer in January to pilot the second program, which was the My View. They took on a second piece and started over again. Someone in every grade level is willing to pilot, so they did get to at least have it in each grade level and see how it was received and how it works. They felt there was somewhat of a disconnect with what the kids were doing, kind of jumped around with skills, and it was more busy work than, it was more workbook involved instead of engaging the kids. The piloted teachers all met at buildings, each of the buildings, and they kind of, came upon the idea that they really liked the Wonders program the best for that. 42% for first graders, let's see, high-rated data for the 4 first graders, 67% of the students were meeting growth by the winter after piloting that program. So that was pretty impressive. One thing about Wonders is that currently goes only up to 5th grade, but they're looking at adding past 2023 on that, and the multicultural component that comes. At Northside, Kelly Jones started to talk about wisdom. They saw tremendous growth. They had Socratic seminars in the classrooms, vocabulary assessment. They felt there was a deep, rich understanding what they're reading. Again, there was an essential theme question around wit and wisdom. They also said it was a hard transition, but once the teachers got going with it and kind of got a routine going on, that helped. They felt that as a building, it would raise the rigor of the learning of the kids, not see as many gaps as kids move up, and improvement in writing, and there are also some video components of that. Not all the teachers piloted the second program, so some people just piloted with wisdom, and then others in 4th or 5th grade piloted wonders. So they did see both of them, they saw one or the other. For the wonders for 4th and 5th grade, they felt that the flexibility was just too much for small group instruction. They were concerned about a differentiation piece, data growth, things like that, different teachers piloting, and they like the wisdom, correct? So that was better. Study sync was done at the 6th gate team approach, so they tried to do a 6th through 7th grade component, so that would help the sixth graders transition into the middle school. They just didn't find the niche that they wanted there. Instead of whole text, they would get just pieces of stories. So they never got to read the full text to find out what happened in the story. It was hard to fill a lesson. They did call the vendor many times to get assistance and guidance and try to get it to work. Terry Carver talked about 7th, 8th grade. They did wit and wisdom. She is also an avid teacher, so she could see how it relates to avid kids. They did it as a team approach, so they have all 4 in each grade working on this together, so they can compare and talk and share presentations. They talk daily about it. Very direct instruction. There's definitely more teaching. They felt like the study stick was more online and kind of really better virtual when they were learning on home. She felt it was very exciting. Kids could produce, they could talk, they're reading, writing, speaking, listening. Very layered and intentional. There's a scaffolding effect to the learning. Academic standards went deeper. There again, the rigor came in that word. That's at a higher rigor for the students to reach and move up. There's predictability in the structure, yet there was diverse style of learning. Again, there was a theme throughout the stories that they did, and it was very differentiated. So they thought that was a really good fit for them. I asked again about the literary library at the middle school, and they said yes, they were actually fitting in, scheduling in independent reading each day, and they were still adding to the literary library. So that makes for me an effect for them. We're looking at doing professional development. They'll have print access for print and online to the series that they choose for 6 years. They'll be using some of the ESSER funds to help cover the cost of the expense of the curriculum. They felt like it helped close the gaps, raise the kids at the top, and help struggling readers. There are strategies for EL learners, science, and SEL, so it could tie into lots of different components in each of the buildings. At middle school, they thought it fit in well with the AVID programs there. Anything else? The high school is going to be piloting Study Sync this last trimester. And we'll be getting more input back from them. Thank you.
No, just wanted to, before we move forward, just want to say thank you to all of our pilot teachers who worked so hard this year. Coming back into, full-time in-person teaching this year with lots of other variables, to add that pilot on top was a lot to ask, but the pilot group did an amazing job, and we were really excited with the results that we came away with. So big thank you to our teachers. So questions that you would have for me?
Yeah, just a couple. I like the idea that we have a framework to cover kind of the curriculum in this area over a period of time. But a concern I have, and I don't know enough to know if it's a concern, so that's what I'm asking, is this so regimented that individual teachers can't apply their teaching style to it? Or is it more of a broad framework of what we need to cover, and then individual teachers can apply their own preferred teaching style or what they find is effective with the specific students that they have to, I guess, customize this for their classroom? Like I said, I like the idea of a framework, but I also like the idea of teachers being able to make it their own. Does it
Absolutely
do both of those things?
Yes, because just like everything, there's a balance between the art and science of teaching. And, we want a common experience for all of our kids in K-12. And with that, part of that common experience is common summatives, and our PLCs need to be able to look at how their kids are doing in each classroom to be able to figure out, okay, what's working, what's not. And that's one of the bases of a PLC. And to do that, we have to be on the same page. Now, within that, there's definitely freedom within the fences to teachers to put their own mark to it and put their own color to it. If we move forward with the adoption for all the levels, this first year is going to be a lot of learning, and they're going to have to try to figure out what are those loose and those tights. That's another term we use a lot as well. So what are those things for sure that we do not deviate from, and what are those things that are a little more loose that we can put a little more of our Milton touch to, if you will.
Okay. one other question. I think it's great that we're able to invest ESSER funds in this investment. Although just for clarification, as it relates to the motion tonight, are we approving a $600,000 one-time expense for 6 years of curriculum, or are we approving the first year of 6 for the curriculum? Just
That price tag covers that price tag covers 6 years.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So kind of piggybacking off of what Dave was saying with his initial question, the reviews that I had read on Wonders specifically indicated that it was very scripted. And I was just curious about how those that piloted, if they came back with something similar in their review of it, or if they truly did feel that they had the liberty to leave their mark.
Do you want to K 3 folks to talk to this, or? Yeah. Okay.
So I worked with all of the K-3 teachers as they were piloting, and one of them is bravely with us tonight, but not brave enough to come up here. And it is not scripted. It gives you an outline, and this is what you want to teach, but it is not direct instruction. You do not read this, and this. No, it is not like that at all. Does that answer your question? Yep. Okay.
The pacing of Wit and Wisdom, was another review that I had read was that it was too fast. Was that something that you guys had encountered with the students?
I don't think too fast was shared, but what was shared was that there's a lot built into that lesson and a lot to digest. So again, they really worked on finding that balance of how much time to devote to each, because I think as part of that framework, it gives kind of some rough estimates. So our teachers spent a lot of time figuring out what that really time commitment was. What we heard overwhelmingly from that middle level is that it really raised the rigor within their classrooms. And really, I think that was one of the things that really pushed us over the top and said, this is the direction we want to go, is that it was so rigorous, and the conversations that we heard within the classrooms, and when my 6th grader is coming home and talking about Socratic seminars, and like they're doing some really amazing work there.
Similar to what we've done in the past with teachers sharing the books that they're working through in their classroom. Is that something that you guys will continue, especially when adopting this new curriculum? Because again, like just a quick Google search, especially concerning Wit and Wisdom, you'll find that there's been a lot of controversy with that curriculum. And obviously, the internet's not perfect, and so there's probably going to be stuff out there that's not true. But have you, do you have a plan to kind of preempt any questions that might be brought up about possible inappropriate material or anything like that with that curriculum and specifically? So.
Well, with everything, we welcome feedback from parents anytime they have questions, right? Or anyone for that matter. Again, one of the reasons we moved towards Wit and Wisdom beyond the rigor is that it was a fully green rated curriculum, meaning it's been vetted by a professional company, nonprofit, to say it's met all of this criteria, and it is high level material. In terms of controversial material, we haven't come across anything of that regard.
Did you say that the teachers said that also said it was just too packed? They were trying to figure out, it wasn't that it went too fast, it was just.
I did hear him mention that it went too fast. It was just that there was a lot of stuff. So
yep.
It was fully packed, so they're trying to figure out, will they use everything, not use everything, how the time, how they'll put it in. So they would like to try another lesson. And Ashley, I didn't feel like you ever said that it was scripted. You felt like it was structured, so it would help a teacher that maybe wasn't quite confident yet in teaching reading and giving them a structure to go. But I didn't feel like you said that it ever was scripted or that you had to like, oh my gosh, where am I at it? And I think one concern I thought some people brought up was like, if kids move from school within our district, at least they'd be in the same curriculum, no matter which district or which building they go into, if it was east or west or consolidated or whatever, at least they're going to have common curriculum and can make that transition if they need to.
Right, this is an action item here tonight, so I'm sure some of us put motion on the floor.
I would move to approve the purchase of Wonders ELA program at the K through 3 grade levels and Wit and Wisdom ELA program at the 4 through 8 grade levels as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Dave with a second from Jen to move to approve the Wonders program at the K3 level and the Wit and Wisdom program at the 4-8 levels as presented. Any more questions or comments at all about this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Shelley. Next up is HR committee report. The only item on my report tonight is a review of 2 benefits advisory group meetings that have happened since our last meeting. The first meeting took place on March 21st. Part of the discussion was evolved around, as always, our district and other similar districts across the state are looking to do similar type things as we have for our employees with less, trying to maintain the current benefits that we have and still attract new talent. First item we had talked about was life insurance comparables were shared from various vendors. WEA is our current carrier, but it is not the cheapest or least costly insurance option, but their ability to provide a benefit for future retirees makes their insurance an attractive option. The offer that they brought back was down to 17 cents from 43 cents per $1,000 of coverage. And this rate would be good for 2 years, starting on July 1st of this year. A change in the current plan would not impact our active staff members, but would have an impact on future retirees. Next topic of discussion was the active benefits and health plans. 3 different options from Dean were shared with various changes to the plan offerings, employee premium amount, and district HRA contributions. Members of the group were asked to look over the options and bring their questions and or feedback to the next meeting on April 7th. Next item that we had talked about was a change to staff compensation and premium deductions. In order to help avoid confusion for employees and extra work for our business office staff and be legally compliant with compensation laws, a change will be made for the 2022-23 school year staff's number of payrolls. With this change, school year staff will receive 21 payrolls beginning on August 30th and have 2 payrolls per month, with the final payroll for the 22-23 school year on June 30th, 2023. Also for the 2022-23 fiscal year starting on July 1, in order to align the premium deductions for insurance, both the school year and year-round staff will have their insurance premiums deducted in the month their insurance payment is due. Currently, the year-round staff have been paying the month ahead. School year employees will not see a difference in their premium payments, but year-round staff will notice 1 month in which they will not have premiums deducted from their check during the changeover. The next meeting was held on April 7th. The last plan design that the district has had was in 2015 when the HRA came into effect. The district also made a provider change in 2020 when it consolidated from a Dean and Mercy offering to just Dean alone. For the 2021-22 plan year, the district opted for a dual option of Dean with either the HRA or the HSA offerings. Members of the group discussed the 2 different plan options from the previous meeting, and the HR department is continuing conversations with Dean and will bring more information to the next benefits advisory group meeting, which we are looking to hold next week. I think that date and time is yet to be set. That is all I had. Did anyone have any questions or comments about that?
Just a quick comment. Thanks to you and the committee for exploring things like the premiums on the life insurance. I mean, thankfully, life insurance isn't an item that people have to actually interact with those companies very often, and their financial strength is very public data. So the ability to shop rate and find savings in a place that it's low-hanging fruit makes a lot of sense. So thanks for you and the committee and those involved to find those efficiencies to conserve resources for other areas. So just comment of thanks.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, and I'll pass that thanks on to our HR staff, Chris Tukendorf, Chris Watson, and Marcy Bergeron. So thank you. Any other questions or comments on that? All right, next up, we will move on to miscellaneous. First item is action on staffing reports.
I'll move to approve the staffing report as presented.
We have a motion from Joe with a second from Leslie to move to approve the staffing report. Any questions or comments about that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Next up is action on gifts and donations.
I'll move to approve the gifts and donations with gratitude.
I'll second that.
Motion from Leslie with a second from Dave to approve the gifts and donations. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is meeting dates. Rich?
Our next regularly scheduled school board meeting is 2 weeks from tonight on Monday, April 25th at 6:30. After the election, John Doomer will be joining the board, be sworn in at that meeting and join the board at that meeting. We have a couple upcoming or to be scheduled committee meetings. There's a finance and transportation joint meeting scheduled for April 13th at noon. That would be in the second floor conference room. We will need to schedule our next negotiation session. The date that we had looked at as a possible meeting next week is not, we heard back from MEA that date is not going to work. So we'll reach out because we'll need to find a date that works both for the committee and for the MEA reps. So rather than scheduling something now, we'll reach out to them and find some availability. Rick had mentioned earlier that an upcoming benefits advisory group meeting there. We also need to schedule with Al Yeager and with the teachers who are part of that group. So we'll find out some potential dates and get those out to board members. And then we also are looking at a policy committee meeting. We had one scheduled and needed to rearrange it so that we could get in a HR committee meeting. But I know that Rick, Mike, and Leslie are the members of the policy committee, and with Leslie moving off the board, I don't know if we want to have a meeting before the new committees are set. There isn't anything huge that's pressing the policy committee other than making sure that we stay caught up on our regular updates. So if it would be all right with the policy committee, I'll send an email out to the committee and get their ideas on that too.
Okay. We're not meeting with MEA next Monday?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. All right, is that it, Rich?
That is everything. Yep.
Okay, next up, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, sub 1, sub E, and 19.82, sub 1, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Topic of discussions will be review of negotiations with MEA and next steps.
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Joe with a second from Leslie. Before we do vote, I just wanted to, on behalf of the district, thank Leslie for her service to the board, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll do a roll call vote on this. Shelley? Jen?
Yes.
Rick is yes. Joe?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Okay, we are in executive session and,
Yes.
yep, we will be adjourning from executive session too. Thank you, everyone.
Let me double